Hey, everybody. Welcome to Don't Make Me Come Back There. We are a funny podcast about family. My name is Dustin Nickerson. I'm a stand-up comedian and the host of the aforementioned podcast. And alongside me in our state-of-the-art recording studio above Public Square Coffee, almost got that one, in downtown La Mesa, is my lovely wife, my co-host, and overall great gal, Melissa Nickerson.
Hey there.
And our producer, Andy. Hey, Andy, how are you?
Good.
You did Miss Doubtfire voice again. Is that? I watched recently let's do our cheers. Welcome everybody, backseaters, to us, to the pod. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I watched a little behind the scenes. You know that the famous Miss Doubtfire scene where he has the pie mask on and it's dropping into the social workers coffee or tea or whatever.
Yeah, I knew there was some coffee.
Totally improvised scene. Oh. It wasn't supposed to be melting. It was melting, and then he lined it up so it would fall in her drink. And then it was like, oh, now you've got your sugar and your cream or whatever. Would you like one sip or two? Totally improvised.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
Great.
That is like the best part of the movie.
It is the whole cake, and then it melting and dropping into the. It's also really good if you were a child of divorce and watching it at that age. Mm-hmm. Anyways, welcome to tuning in to our little podcast, everybody. We have lots to discuss today. Mel doesn't know any of it.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
That's not true. We've got a pending trip that we're working on planning. I want to talk about ADD. I want to talk about alternative cheese. I want to talk about answering a question on whether or not you should have kids or not, and just whatever else happens. Cool. We'll do weekend reviews. Lots of stuff to cover.
Fantastic.
I may have a little bit of sniffles. It's allergies. I'm swearing
He's
by.
holding tight.
I'm holding tight. That's because it's because I still want you to smooch me. I don't want you to run from me. But I did go to bed early with Claire last night. I'm also just a little tired, and we'll get into that, and we can recap
Red
here
eyes
in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Red eyes and the South. The South in spring will do that. It's pretty intense out there. So, anyways, before we get into that, I want to let you guys know about some tour dates. We got a lot of them coming up and a couple more that we're adding. If you guys want to see all of these, you can go to DustinNickerson.com. Newly revamped. Got some new pictures on there. Mel did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a point of contention, but we'll discuss that. That's
owned and fought about, right?
I don't think
small
we
business.
Thought about it. Well, you do. Anyways, the Halfway There tour is coming. It's starting in May 19th and 20th in Salt Lake City. Then we go to Brea, California on the 24th, the 26th, 27th, Des Moines, Iowa. Then we go into June 13th, Chicago, 14th, Chicago, 15th, Rosemont, Illinois, 16th and 17th, San Diego, 18th, that's Father's Day in LA, Burbank, technically. We don't need to get technical on this, though. The 21st is Orlando. The 22nd is Tampa. The 24th and 25th, Boston. The 28th, Charlotte. The 29th, Raleigh. Into July. July 1st, North Charleston. July 6th through 9th, Tacoma. Actually, we're going to add Asheville in there, by the way, on July 2nd. We're working on that. July 12th, Liberty, Ohio. That's Cincy. 13th, Columbus. 14th through 16th, Pittsburgh. 21st and 22nd, Nashville. 28th, Atlanta. And then we're into August. The 2nd is San Jose. The 11th and 12th is Sacramento. We're also adding Fresno in there. Buckle up, everybody. Fresno. I'm finding my way there finally. Finally, Fresno.
In August. Yes.
Yeah. The 23rd, Omaha. The 24th, Milwaukee. The 25th, Minneapolis. The 26th, Tulsa. The 27th, Addison. Dallas. The 31st, San Antonio. Into September. The 1st and the 2nd, Houston. The 3rd, Oklahoma City. The 4th, Austin. October 27th to 29th, Phoenix. And December 7th through 9th, Cleveland. More to come. We're working on scheduling some more, but, always adding, growing, expanding.
I mean, you barely have any more dates to add. Like, literally the calendar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for the calendar year, I think there's
You're out of weekends.
I think there's 2 more weekends left, and one of them... Oh, Mel's tidying up the shirt here. Were you hiding something, or was it just looking folded?
Yeah.
Guys, I got a little deodorant on the shirt here, and Mel is micromanaging my life. Back off. All right?
I'll back off.
You back way off.
Yeah.
Anyways, also, if you're not familiar with Patreon, Mel, could you carry a little weight on this podcast for once and tell them about Patreon?
Patreon is a way
They're
to
over there just
micromanaging your wardrobe.
Yeah. If you sign up for Patreon, you at a certain level, you will get a signed poster. And we may send you the wrong signed poster. I'm sorry, Matthew and Caroline.
We're going to swap it. We're going to reissue posters.
I had a DM from Caroline and a message on Patreon from Matthew that they got each other's posters.
I sent the posters to the same 2 people because I sent like 7 posters and I just missed. I could have messed up like 4. Or,
Listen, Mel.
I don't know.
Before we get into telling you about Patreon, what's happening to you? I don't mean this in a derogatory way, because I say that genuinely. Okay. I don't mean it in a derogatory way in the sense that I'm not trying to bring you down, because I don't really mind.
Yeah.
But there has been a shift lately.
Okay.
Of you used to be an absolute steel trap of details.
Yeah.
I mean, you could not a detail missed, not a box unchecked, an I undotted, a T uncrossed. Everything and you are worse than me lately.
I'm not worse than you.
That's true. Last weekend
I didn't forget my laptop.
Last weekend, I mean, in the last 36 hours, I forgot my laptop to this. I lost a sweatshirt and I lost my teeth grind and mouth guard for the 3rd time in the last year at a hotel. But what's happening to you?
I do think it's middle age.
Okay.
And I actually, so you know how like 3 out of 5 people in our house, or really 4 out of 6, have ADD. When you're middle-aged woman,
I don't know math, so
perimenopause, like you actually have symptoms of ADD.
What?
I told you this.
I know, but I'm playing dumb for the sake of the podcast. I'm trying to create it as a unique moment, Melissa. I don't want the listeners to think that we ever converse outside of this. Okay, so
your brain is just like losing the details and it's the chemicals.
It's all biological, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happens biologically in menopause? Forgive me for the naivety of this question.
Dustin.
You don't seem to know either. I bet you did know before you were pre-menopause. Now you forgot.
It's kind of like, you know how they compare teenagers to toddlers, like the growth of like the brain and the hormones. Like it's the same thing. Like women's bodies.
You get a 3rd puberty?
Well, everybody has middle age.
Yeah.
But like women have to stop being fertile. So that's a lot. It's it's tough over here.
It is interesting that at a certain point the body's just like I quit
doing this.
I'm going to make sure that this cannot happen. I'm shutting this bakery down.
Years.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part. And then nobody ever studies women's health, so
Go get it.
Mel with the hot take.
Not a
hot flash
highly researched field.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Or published.
And if there are studies on them, Mel has definitely read them.
No. I just got all hot takes.
I was going to say, I was like, there's probably been some research.
It's under-researched, and I would know.
There was a lot of conviction behind that statement, and I respected that, and I knew where it came from. So I wasn't going to contradict
modern culture doesn't. It's like a lot of things, like like postpartum depression. Like
sure,
there's a couple books. I mean, there is. It's just not like mainstream.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
It's not okay. You know what it is?
What is it?
It's not something that every primary care doctor is going to tell you about.
Well, a lot of
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, a lot of your angst, not angst. just straight up venom with the medical community. Actually is not anything anti-science or anything like that. It's more just frustration with primary care doctors and getting them to pin down a diagnosis or help in a clear functioning way, and not to feel like you're a cog in the system.
Yeah, like a number.
A number on their when you literally are a number. You're a Kaiser medical record number and you are an appointment that day.
And I understand that, holistic medicine, that's so tricky. You don't have time. We don't have a day to get to know someone.
Listen, you have to
prescribe what's going on with them.
You have to be so smart to be a doctor that it's almost impossible to find one that also has a good personality.
Yeah, because you have to do things that we can't, which is find disease and treat it. And so I'm so grateful. When Claire was tongue-tied as a baby, a mom told me, this is my third child. She's hungry. Yeah. I can tell by her cry. Yeah. And that was a mama five. Yeah. And then I could go to my primary care, and then I could get referred to a lactation consultant, and then we could get her tongue-tie fixed. Right. But I can't,
that is one of the only examples, though, in the history of parenting where a stray mom told you something about your kid.
What?
And you're like, yeah, let me listen to that. I really want your take on my kid. But in that instance, yes.
It does change the trajectory, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little things like that. In careers and in health, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think especially in young parenting season, when your kids are real young, there is a real brotherhood, sisterhood, a real we're in the trenches. It's almost just because we're all, just like the Walking Dead zombies going through looking for answers. Your body is a mess. Your sleep schedule's a mess. Yeah. Your hormones are a mess. You're trying to keep this thing alive. You're trying to figure out. And you have this crazy fragile thing in your home. And it's amazing that you don't have when you look at a baby, you're like, there should be a doctor that comes by every day to check on this. Every day.
It's just such a huge liability. Yeah. You're what's the baby doing? How is the baby?
And it's why mom instincts are so important. Just actual, visceral, biological mom instincts. And your brain and your body are kind of telling you how to take care of this,
So if that mom biology then stopped producing. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's what.
No, someone should do some research on this. Someone should do medical funding. Yeah. So you're saying, so you're going full circle to now that's going away. Now you're saying
that's why my brain is messed up.
Yeah. That's why you went from 15 years of the most thoughtful, compassionate, detail-oriented, caring motherhood to can we not do Christmas this year?
I'm done. I'm putting my time.
Your body's going through retirement.
Yeah. This is a good segue, actually, into...
it's like that home run lap,
Yeah, your final... Your curtain call.
Yeah.
This is menopause is the curtain call, and very fittingly, and that they usually are crying during the it's great. I think this is a good segue. So, somebody asked us this question recently, and I want to discuss it here on the podcast. It was a married couple asking, "Would you recommend having kids?" So, for context, it was a woman. And she's married, and they've been married for a while, and they're as a couple trying to decide whether or not they want to have kids. And that is such a heavy question to ask a comedian.
Yeah, no kidding.
It is funny that sometimes when you're a parent, people just look at you as a parent. They're like, oh, yeah, I mean, he also does a podcast and comedy or whatever, but he's a dad, so he knows about this. And he has a wife who's a mom, and she knows about this. And
your parents should.
Yeah, you can answer this. And if you had a couple come up and ask you, would you recommend having kids? It's such a hard question.
It's so personal.
Yes.
Because that's a couple
Mm-hmm.
that's two individuals.
Yes.
Making that decision. And I mean,
I think my first question would be, do you both want to?
yeah.
That would be my first question, because it does have to be a both. And if the answer is no, then there's the second question of, do you want to spend the rest of your lives with each other? That's a whole, and that you should ask a therapist.
Yeah.
And
not a comedian.
And not a comedian.
Right.
But that is like the first question of because there has to be a unified thing. I mean, you see the struggle.
Ideally.
Yeah, as somebody who was raised by a single parent, it's so hard. I was talking to my dad about this yesterday. He was telling me how much he liked the joke about that I did on Corden and in my special about getting hurt and hiding the injuries. And he was like, it was like that for us. It was like, and I go, I know, Dad, because when you're a single parent, there's no wiggle room in your schedule.
Yeah, because suddenly you have to take off work.
Yes.
Go to the hospital.
Yes.
Pay a lot of money.
Yes.
And then you can't go to school or, and then there goes your childcare.
More than one time, I had to convince my dad to take me to the ER because he had to be up in 3 hours. And then later on, I felt that a little bit of a burden, and that I would almost hide it from him.
Yeah.
And then there would be more of like, hey, I'm actively bleeding. And so you do.
Yeah, I remember you would call friends.
I had friends come pick me up because there's no wiggle room. And so you want to have as much. It's so hard to do as a single parent. And if you're in a relationship where one person wants the kid and the other person doesn't want the kid, and then you have the kid, there can be some resentment. There can be struggle there. So if you're in a relationship, first question is, do you both want it? And do you have a unified front on that, in that regard?
It's absolutely like a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, exactly. And then my second, if you guys are agreement that you do want to have kids, and then you're asking, would you recommend having kids? The answer is no. I would not recommend. It's just a firm no. No.
See, for me, I have to ask the distinctive question, do you want to have a child or do you want to raise a child?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you understand, having is a very American property mindset. Like, it's like, it's like, is that really too?
And I'm here to tell you, the resell on a child, not good.
Exactly.
Not
ROI, not so good.
Not so, unless that kid becomes an athlete, you are not getting that money back. That will not buy you a house later, most likely. That's an interesting. Well, I think that
I've been binging. I'm not a huge music nerd like you guys, but I've been binging Gaslight Anthem. And the song that says like, give me the fevers that just won't break. Give me the children you don't want to raise. Lay it all on me now. I don't know. Something like that.
I think you switched songs.
I think I changed songs.
I think that turned into a Vance Joy song on the.
I got those two lyrics.
Yeah. If you want your brain to be scattered and melted like ours, then parenting. It's all over the place.
But I like the depth there.
Yeah, I mean, I like that the stigma of you have to have kids to be fulfilled is gone. I like that that's gone because I think, like marriage in general, that yes, marriage and kids could be the single most fulfilling, joy-giving part of your life. But it could also be the opposite. It could also be the hardest, most difficult thing you've ever done. And it could be the single most draining. It could be the worst part of your life. It could you could have children or be in a relationship and thinking that this will bring me fulfillment, and it bring the complete opposite. And there will be moments where you feel both.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you don't have to.
But that's just like being in a relationship, a friendship, romantic relationship,
right.
you will get hurt. Right. There will be love and loss.
Yeah.
It's a very existential question.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really about your existence. Like, what do you?
The question is, what do you want out of life?
Exactly.
The question is, what do you want out of life? Do you want to be selfish? Then don't have kids. No, I'm just kidding. Do you want to live for you and you alone and not know the incredible fulfillment of sacrificing your life for somebody else? If you want to be a hedonistic narcissist, then don't have children and enjoy your Saturdays for the rest of your life.
There are so many
I'm driving to Orange County tomorrow at 6 a.m. so I can be fulfilled in life. Don't you want this?
It's more like 4:30.
No, I agree. I agree that it's a question of what do you want out of life, because I would say that children, for us, the whole premise of the marriage book we wrote and the whole is that you can only speak to your own experience. And so we will only speak to our own experience. Children are more fulfilling than I could have ever imagined them to be. There are moments that I lay after I play on the trampoline with my kids, and I look up at the sky, and my arms are tingly, and I feel a sense of euphoria and life and energy and love that I could not imagine. I mean, that there's a closeness to them, a closeness to everything. It's beyond words that I can have, and I'm very articulate. So it's
Same.
more, yeah. And you have these experience. When I pick up from Joel from school right now, and I see this like young man, it brings me life and euphoria. And you see when Claire, we're driving on the road, and she says, "Dad, life is like the road. There's always someone in front of you and someone behind you," and you go, "What?" It's like that. There's a great scene in Moneyball where Billy Bean is listening to his daughter play guitar. And it's you watch these moments, you're like, I can't believe this little baby does this, and it's so creative. And Claire's art and Gloria's sing. I remember when we went to Gloria's, Gloria had a choir performance like 3 or 4 years ago. And she never sings in front of us. She like always, and we heard her, and she was great, and she was smiley, and we're like, where did that come? She had a talent show performance one time where she had practiced this whole like cartwheel to splits move that we didn't even know. And
while holding the mic.
And there's this great moment where you're holding the phone and you go, what? I didn't see that come. So there is that, but it is also more challenging and heavy than I could have ever imagined it being. There's like a heavier stress. And I mean, just this week, I won't name names, but one of our children decided that she was going to use some select words to describe her mom that we didn't think would come from her at that age. And you go, oh, well, that's an anger that I haven't felt before. Those words are reserved for me when we're fighting at the mall, usually is when I say those words. Like and
to adults.
Yeah, or like when your kid is sick, or when they have or your kid's struggling in school, or you watch your kid strike out to end a baseball season, or you're just like, oh, it's too much.
Last at bat, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, not to end the game, to end the season, and you're like, so, and then our kid's driving now, and the worry and attached to that, and it's so much harder, and it's so much better. I won't say worse. It's so much better and harder than you can ever imagine if you're invested into it. Our generation of parents before that, they weren't even really invested in it. At least dads weren't. They were. I have this theory that part of the reason that a lot of like dudes die from heart attacks in their 40s or 50s is the heart is like, well, I wasn't having feelings anyway, so I'm just going to kill the rest of the body. Like, I'm not doing anything here, so you guys can all die. I don't know.
Inflammation can do that.
Inflammation.
Trust me.
And
here comes the research.
And I think parenting causes inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the supplement that you take for parenting?
Turmeric.
I don't know. Does that make sense? I know it's not a direct answer, but I guess you try and give people equally frustrating to me is the parental take which is you have to have kids because it's more fulfilling. It brings me so much joy, and only showing you the positive sides as the parent who always only shows you the negative sides. So it's like, it's so hard. You're so tired. These just like leeches on your soul. I mean, that's literally a joke that I used to say, that they're leeches. But you know what I mean? I think the answer is both, all of the above. And I think as long as you have if you can hear all of that and go, yes, I would like that. I will say that for me personally, like, because what we're talking about, like the heights and the depths of it, that is why it is a very fulfilling life as a parent. In the sense that it takes you through a lot of ranges of emotions and challenges, and there's so much self-reflection that you do as a parent that it can be great. There can be growth.
The ages and stages are so vast and unique.
Yeah.
With every one of your kids.
And there is, as someone who loves being sentimental and melancholy and reflective, like, I love that. Parenting brings a lot of that out of you because you're looking at your little self sometimes and you're remembering those years. And,
I said this to one of my friends. I'm not trying to like sound profound. Yeah. But I said this. I was like, because she didn't have kids yet. And I said, having kids is like having your past and your present in the same room with you all the time. Because you've got all your baggage from your childhood. And then this is the future, and then your present, your midlife self, and you have to wrestle and deal with all of that every day. Well, so it's good. It's hard.
I'm not going to say anything better than that. Thanks
hard
for tuning.
Pass.
Yeah. Now that you say it like that, now that you communicate it like that, I have made the decision not to have children.
So you have to deal with all of it.
Yeah.
So there's no like, I'm just going to deny my past and my childhood and just push forward. And you're like, well, this baby's in your arms now.
Yeah. That's really, really good. Really, really good.
I would say if you're in enough of a state of self-reflection and it feels like you need kids to save your life, do not have kids.
Or your relationship.
Or your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do not have kids.
I think that's good. I did a lot of flying this last weekend, and I was reflecting. I found myself reflecting on what flying was like in like 2021, a little bit after COVID.
Yeah.
And when you would get on flights right after COVID or kind of in the midst of, there would be that spiel that they were giving you. Like, hey, just to let you know, we wiped down everything. Everything is sanitized. We've got the air filter situation. We really went above and beyond to make sure this is a safe plane. And I remember thinking, I love that it took a global pandemic for airlines to be like, fine, we'll clean the plane. Fine, it's safe now. I was like, were you not wiping down the tray before? I was cutting my bananas on this tray and then eating them right off the tray. I thought this was clean. I thought I could mush these up like a baby because this is my adult high chair. Smush peas up here. No. I was also remembering there was a season of life on planes there where you would walk on and they would offer you a hand sanitizer and people would know your political stance on whether or not you took it.
Don't hand me that.
There was a season of flying there where people knew they knew how you voted based on how you behaved in airports and airplanes.
Right.
Like you didn't have to wear a MAGA hat anymore. You just had to have no mask and not take the wipe.
I don't believe in hand washing.
Someone would offer you a little Lysol wipe, and you'd be like, "Make America great again." You're like, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in sanitation. It's crazy, and it's nice because I do feel like flying has gotten back to officially what it was like pre-pandemic. Because yes, some people are still wearing masks, but people always wore masks on planes. There's always been a segment of the population that wore masks on planes. I don't think it's a bad idea to wear a mask on a plane. If you don't want to get sick on a plane, wear a mask.
There's a lot of germs up there.
In a very small set of people. Me, I don't believe in getting sick. I believe it's
clearly.
I believe it's weakness. And the reason that I'm a little stuffed up right now is because I was weak. I didn't attack that day with enough tenacity.
I think they just stopped cleaning the planes.
Exactly. I do think that you hear like, nothing? You guys didn't wipe these down at all? But the weekend recap is we were in the South, and we were
Carolinas.
Carolinas. We started in South Carolina, Greenville, which is very quaint. Greenville's so cute. You go there though, and I do this sometimes with like cities, and this is why we're well fit for like a major city in San Diego, and that like we're still like discovering things we like about San Diego. We find new businesses and restaurants and stuff pretty regularly, and Greenville is really cute, but it's like 2 streets.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, yeah, I mean, I got it. You know, I got it. I got it. Greenville. Great road city. Great, like, weekend, come in, dink around. We got it all, but I would
Day and a half.
I would get so bored so fast.
Yeah.
And then we went to Durham, but we stayed in Chapel Hill. North Carolina is the most underrated state in America. I stand by this. North Carolina has so many great places. Raleigh, Wilmington, Durham's cool in its own right, which is kind of like a sister city, like a Seattle, Tacoma to Raleigh. Charlotte is amazing. They've got beaches. They've got it all. North Carolina, most underrated state. Big fan of the North Carolina. But it is spring. I know we're joking about like with the allergies, and I hate to be that guy, but I'm telling you, you felt it the second you went outside. It's spring in the South. Everything is blooming. You just felt absolutely at war with nature. Like, oh my gosh, this is too much. So, but the shows were good.
Yeah.
I do feel like sometimes with the South, like there is like a politeness to crowds. Like I think people in the South are so kind that they do sometimes crowds are a little groany, especially when you're not in a major city. Like there'll be like a lot of like, oh, and I don't know, maybe that's in my mind, but I don't know.
I haven't performed for crowds.
You haven't done comedy in the South?
But, I can take your word on that. Because you did say that you and Taylor both felt like.
We felt like sometimes they were like a little groany, but also.
Because I was in the South with you last year in Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't say that.
No, well, I did Huntsville. Well, Huntsville is its own unique thing. You know what?
Knoxville.
You know what? It's truly city to city.
Atlanta.
It might just be the Carolinas are so happy. They're like, we live in a great place. The Carolinas are lovely. We're close to a lot of stuff. It's so pleasant here. Our quality of life is so high here. Why are you talking about death so much? And you're like, well, why are you making fun of things? We love everything here.
Okay.
I don't know, but it was still a great weekend.
I can see that the West Coast or the East Coast has like more bitter satire.
Yeah, I mean, I think cities have it too. You know, like because I'm sure if I would have been in Charlotte, it would have been a different. I've found, you know, I guess cities just attract more bitter people. Yeah. Like
perhaps.
Maybe there's
larger cities.
Maybe there's an equivalent if I'm in like I don't know what's a pleasant place in California.
Like Santa Rosa.
I was going to say Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
I was going to say Santa Barbara. They're like, what? How could you be so upset? You know, they're like the human embodiment of the Life is Good brand.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't know many grumpy people from Santa Barbara or the Ventura area.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
Like, we did it. We did it. Anyways, how was your weekend?
Good comparison.
Yeah.
Claire got sick last week. She was down. I was at a volleyball tournament and she was calling me like mom, and like her whole voice was like raspy. So she like was laying around like not, are you asleep? Like just laying around. Like she got a bad cold. Yeah. And so it's kind of started Saturday, and then by Thursday I just got her lungs checked. Yeah. They gave her a steroid. She lost it for
the steroid really
hours.
Amped her up. Yeah.
But not in a hyper way. Yeah. In an aggressive way.
She got steroid rage. That's funny.
It was not funny.
Yeah.
Well, so the funny thing was Joel had 2 weeks off for spring break. There's 1 week, no children were off. That was the week Claire got sick. Now the girls are on spring break for 2 weeks. So it's just like a 5-week run here. Yeah. And then we launched the special last week. So so she actually got bored. She was like, you guys aren't even like playing with me. We're like, yeah, we're working.
This is
like,
our work day.
You're at school and we work.
Yeah, she kept being like, will you just come outside and vibe with me, Dad? I'm like, no, I have
like we'd eat lunch out there with
Yeah.
her, but then we like had to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a sick kid is still brutal, even when they're 9. Some of them.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was pretty long, but actually,
Yeah.
I am such a bad San Diegan. I ended up at Target during the Final Four
Last night?
on
Or last
Saturday.
night. Yeah.
So I just was catching up on some stuff.
But yeah,
I
it was
had to
great.
stack everything for the weekend because she was
Yeah.
home all week sick. And I was at Target during the Final Four, and
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
pretty empty
oh
here.
my gosh, why is it so quiet? and then
That's
I
funny.
realized the game was on.
Yeah.
And so that was my reprieve for the week,
Yeah.
was doing that. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely not a good San Diegan.
One of the things that nobody tells you about parenting is just the increased likelihood that there's going to be a sick person in your house.
Well, unfortunately, my brain went, hey, no one's really been sick in a bit.
You cursed it. This is your fault. This is your fault.
It's like everyone's been pretty healthy, and
But you know
besides
what's
your
fu-
back.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well,
yeah.
you know what's funny though is that as a parent of 3 children, that meant like 3 weeks. That wasn't some season of life where nobody had been sick for a while.
And 3 kids, 3 schools.
As a parent,
Yeah.
if someone in your house is not sick for 2 weeks, you're like, well, this is a miracle.
Yeah.
This is incredible what happened. How was sickness not taking the home?
Well, and the funny thing was we saw a doctor we hadn't seen before to get her lungs checked. And he was like, she's pretty healthy. Like, just like for looking back at her medical history. And I was like, she's a 3rd child. She got exposed to everything before she was 3.
Right,
Like,
right.
she was sick so much because she was getting all the immunities from all the kids in schools and rifling through their backpacks and drinking out of their water bottles.
Yeah.
Like,
She had old mom bear her, you know? She didn't have as healthy of
well,
a young...
I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she has been healthy. Like, we haven't had to go to the doctor, but
Yeah.
you know, she's had everything.
Melissa, walk me through... I want to hear this. Walk me through the difference between your first and last pregnancies.
Oh.
Physically, mentally,
Well, okay, so I had Joel
our oldest.
22.
You were
I had Joel
22.
at 22.
So young.
I had Joel at 22. And I had Claire at 29.
Still young.
Still young.
Yeah.
And they were like, I was sick with both of them,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Like,
I know I
it was
sprung
just
this on
different. Like with Claire, it was like throw up and then take the 2 other kids to SeaWorld. It really was.
I mean, that is the most mom thing of 3rd child pregnancy. Blah, get in the van. Gonna get our money's worth of the season pass. That is incredible. That is so funny.
I mean, they were both hard. Like,
Yeah.
they were both hard. But I do think the recovery, they were both hard.
They were both
They're-
hard, yeah.
Literally.
Well, the third one, I remember being hardest. You were getting the compression tights and stuff.
Mhm.
Let me theorize as someone who has
Okay.
never been pregnant but has supported you through a few pregnancies.
Yeah. Just can't stop laughing.
If I recall, the last pregnancy was physically harder. The first pregnancy was mentally harder.
Or emotionally.
Well, I would put mental and
yeah.
emotional together. Yeah. I think our emotions come from our brain. But I know that's under researched.
You're dead. You're dead.
You know, let me just explain
I'm going to say no because Claire was tongue-tied.
No, pregnancies. Not labor and stuff.
Well, that was Okay.
What I mean is that I remember you being
like 3 weeks postpartum is not pregnant.
Well, I get that. Well, again, I remember you being more physically uncomfortable with like the compression pants and stuff, and there was like the varicose vein situation, and there was a lot of physical discomfort with the third. Not that you were cozy with Joel, but there were panic attacks with Joel. You know what I mean? Because we didn't know what we were getting into. Because you know. But also, is there an element of you of the 10 years of having kids that those season where you're like, it's all one season, it all blurs?
Oh man, I think I'm already like my brain is already like siphoning off these memories.
I think you forgot that you had kids. I think that you feel like we just got these kids, that they just showed up, that Amazon delivered these kids. This is crazy how much you forget about it.
No, I don't. I just think.
No, like, yeah.
They were both so challenging. I do think that going from.
Trauma.
I do think that going from 2 kids to 3 kids was a lot harder. And that's why we're comparing first child to third child.
I mean, I think going from 0 to 1 was the hardest, personally.
I know, but because she couldn't eat.
Yeah.
I can feed her. And whether you bottle feed or breastfeed, like, you're like, you gotta eat.
Yeah.
Like, and that was.
Can you bleep out breast, by the way? It's a clean podcast. Yeah.
No, we should take out all of breastfeeding because that's just.
Yeah, that is
gross.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta.
That, I mean,
it's called tit feeding. It's unbelievable that you call that on here. That is unbelievable, Melissa. You trash mouth.
Oh my gosh. I guess I remember Claire the most.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know.
I got
nothing.
I feel as because it's just interesting because a woman's body is so much more complex than a man's, and it has so many more features and functions.
Yeah.
It does so many more interesting things than the guy's body, which is just a meathead of a existence. You know, like there's so much more nuance to what your body does biologically that it's fascinating to observe. And I mean that as it's almost like it's like an piece of art that constantly changes. It's new and different and fun and interesting with every season and day and hour sometimes. And so it does feel like we are definitely in a new-ish season of life, and that we're getting near having grown kid stage, or we already have 2 teenagers, the third's on the way.
Yeah.
She's cussing at mom. Yeah, I had the. You know what the hardest part about having like late elementary kids is like, hey, you can't cuss at your mom and still believe in the Easter Bunny.
Really bridging both worlds.
You can't be a child and a teen simultaneously. You know what I mean? You can't
pick or choose.
You can't tell me that you hate me and then watch Bubble Guppies. All right? Pick one. You can't be both.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
You can't collect them all.
Yeah. You can't be both of it. Be a teen or be a kid so I know how to deal with you. All right? You cannot love Pokemon and peanut butter and jellies and then punch me. You gotta be one or the other. I don't know how to classify you in this weird transition season that you're in right now.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Tweenie meanies.
Tweenie meanies it's a tough age group right there. So Anyways, I don't know. It's we're in that season where we are transitioning. It just feels like I don't know. You know, now that we have like a 9-year-old, you're like, well, we're done parenting and we can move on. You know, I don't know.
We put our time in.
We put our time in. We paid our dues. All right. Do we have anything else? I think we did it.
I don't think we talked about everything you said we were going to talk about.
We never do.
Yeah.
Never in the history of this podcast have we. Oh, I had one email. All right. So this is a message that we got from Patreon, which we never finished talking about Patreon so long ago. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
This is from a new Patreon, Monica. She sent us this.
Hi, Monica.
She said, "Hi. I was just listening to the Airpods controversy episode and thought I'd weigh in, even if it's 6 months later. I'm Gen X. That's the one ahead of us, behind us.
Yes.
Older than us.
Uh-huh.
And I love to listen to podcasts, books, and music. So I grew up in a home where headphones were banned around other people. But my husband, same gen, different rules. Our compromise is wearing Beats headphones that hang around the neck. That way we can pull them in and out without losing our place in the podcast, book, or whatever we are listening to. That has been huge. I lost/laundered so many AirPods because I kept taking them in and out. I have this theory that Apple is so okay with that. And that's part of the reason they built them like that. Like, oh, these are so losable.
Put them in your pocket and watch them.
I also only wear one when I'm in the house so I can remain aware of what's going on. My kids also know that they have my full attention when they see me pull out the headphone. It has magnets that automatically find the other headphone and automatically pause what you're listening to. I still can't bring myself to keep AirPods in my ears if nothing is playing, which I used to do before the Beats, but just seeing them in triggers annoyance. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for everything you do in the podcast. It is so fun. And since I listen to you while I'm doing other things, I can listen to the same episode more than once and enjoy it again and again. Thanks, Monica. Go listen to it on a different platform so we get downloads on both of them. Thanks.
Hey, YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Runs in the family on YouTube. It's doing pretty well. Please keep doing well. Oh, gosh. Please keep doing well. I'm so tired of being underrated. I'm so tired of the comments. This guy still slept on. This guy still slept. Please, I don't. I just, it's fine. I'm very content. Keep grinding, Dustin. I have come to, with the AirPods discussion, which we've talked at length about this, I have checked in. Tay stays in nice hotels. Thank you, hotels. 1 in 3 employees has an AirPod in.
Those are nice hotels.
Those are nice hotels.
Yeah.
And I've just come to grips with, like, this is what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's part of culture.
And maybe I'm jealous because as someone who grew up with undiagnosed ADD, and I was like, and had jobs that were like painstakingly hard for me to do at times. Like when I worked at the movie theater and there was so much downtime.
When the movie started.
Once the movie started, there was so much downtime. I would have loved to have that. I would have loved to, and like when I was doing like accounting, ordering type work at like Outback or whatever, would have loved when I was doing dishes I would have loved to have. So maybe there's an amount of jealousy, but and there's also just an amount of old man curmudgeon of where I'm like, you show me the quality of service that I deserve on this at this hotel that a 29-year-old's paying for. It's not like I'm even paying. I stay at Residence Inns, baby.
Give me my hotel key card.
Yeah. So I do.
Ask me how my day is.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't think the quality of service that I'm getting is any worse. There's just a visual. Well, I just got to get my own. We've talked about it at length, and I've seen that the world is truly divided on this enough for me to go, I am wrong. This is about me. And you know what? Another thought that I had is I have gotten really bad, inattentive service with people with no AirPods. So it seems like the person is going to be whoever they're going to be, regardless of what is or isn't in their ear.
It's true.
Have we had you weigh in on this, Andy? The AirPods debate?
It was maybe just a quick second, handful of episodes back. But yeah, I'm Zennial, so I'm like right between that X and Y. So grew up without it and obviously immersed in it.
Yeah.
I can appreciate I find myself with my own kids now feeling like, no, you need to go through these patient pains.
Yeah.
Because the reward is better.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you shouldn't split your attention. You should you got to learn to wait. And you're right. Is there a curmudgeonness of there's an old world thinking that you got to put in the work to reap the reward?
Right.
And sometimes if I was a boss and half my staff wasn't paying attention because they have something else taking from their attention.
Right.
I do kind of have to part of me feels are you really putting in the work? I get it. There's a mix. There's certain jobs if you're doing data entry or accounting, and I had a customer service job where we could listen to music. I get all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it's a neurological, psychological, sociological thing where if something's actually taking your attention away from the job you're supposed to be doing, I think that's worth the discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe,
hey, that's more insightful than anything I've ever said on this. So,
well, that's why you pay me the big bucks.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that, whatever effects on that so far, are under-researched, especially amongst women. And, TBD. Let the record show, because I want this to be... Melissa is 1,000% right that women are undervalued in society. There's no, I mean, you guys were not voting very recently.
Listen, show me a women's studies on Airpods, and I'll take back everything I said.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Want to give a special shout out to our As Essential as Oils patrons. You know about them, Melissa?
I sure do.
There are $25 a month and up patrons, our best of the best. Thank you so much. So, special shout out to Adam Bush,
Avril Griffiths,
Bonnie Galindo,
Caroline Crimmins,
Carrie Teague,
Code to Grow,
Courtney Eibling,
Damaris Diaz-Stevens,
David and Melissa Cox,
Dave Hoagland,
Farrah Journey,
Isaac Teron,
Jason White,
Jennifer Ashley Downs,
Jessica Sewell,
Jordan Cowan,
Juliana Smith,
Lori Amos,
Matt and Sam Slosdom,
Nathan and Jennifer Merritt,
Nicole Carraz,
Rachel Wilson,
Rachel Kennedy,
Robert and Nellie Capin,
Stephen Mena,
and Tiffany Payne.
Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are the best. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you so much. Thank you. Good night. Goodbye, everybody.